What's up YouTube? It's Ben, and in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how to find the best candidates by analyzing their resumes. All right, guys. Hey, if you follow me already, thank you. If you don't know who I am, my name is Ben Nader. I talk about entrepreneurship, recruiting, business, finances, investing, real estate, everything under the sun regarding making money and finance, etc. If you're into that kind of stuff, you should definitely subscribe to this channel. Let's get right into analyzing resumes for recruiters. Okay, so this is actually quite simple if you follow this blueprint. So watch this video until the end and you will know the exact 4 steps that I'm going to tell you to go through when you analyze a candidate's resume, and you will absolutely be able to submit the best candidates that will definitely get placed, that will definitely make you money. So you want to watch this till the end in full. So let's go to number 1. Let's just go right into it. Number 1 on the list is to analyze the resume such that it meets the minimum requirements of the job description. Now, let's unpack that just a little bit. So when you're given a job rec or a job requisite, for those of you brand new to recruiting and staffing, a job requisite is a job order, like they need something filled, a position or role to be filled. So they're gonna give you a job description. This is a must, this is a guarantee. Always, you have to get this from your client, right? When they give you that job description, you need to match it up with a resume, right? So you need to ensure that your candidate's resume matches up the minimum requirements of the job description. So if there's like 3 or 4 things that are critical to the job, minimum requirements, like must have 2 years experience with JavaScript, right? That absolutely needs to be on the resume, right? Or if it's another thing like must have 2 years forklift driving experience, that has to be between some jobs on that person's resume. Maybe it's one place and maybe it's another place, but it adds up to 2 years experience and they meet the minimum requirements. Now there's going to be a lot of different minimum requirements, so you're going to need to do a little bit of analysis and you'll get really, really quick at this as you go. But if you follow that main tenet as a first step when you analyze resumes, you're absolutely off to the races to finding the best candidates. So let's go on to number 2. Okay, so number 2, let me preface a little bit, okay? When you're looking at resumes, when you're analyzing resumes, right? When you get like an influx of like 20 applicants and you need to fill like 2 roles, right? 20 applicants, 2 roles, that's a pretty good ratio, which means you can whittle that down to the best of the best so that you get those people hired and you get paid, of course, right? So you really want to do what we call a short list, right? So basically take a huge list of 20 resumes and shortlist it down to 5, 4, candidates that actually qualify once they pass your test. So let's go into number 2 on this. When you're shortlisting, right, you want to go through and look for patterns of experience, patterns of technical expertise, patterns of maybe certain specific things that somebody continuously did on a long-term basis at a job. Like maybe they did a lot of different transportation roles and they've driven all sorts of type of vehicles. That's a big deal, right? For the hiring manager, for the job description, that's going to match up and probably marry pretty well if that meets the minimum criteria as number 1, right? But number 2, when you scan for this, if you see a pattern like that and it actually matches up and it makes sense, that's really, really good. So these things have to be looked at. You have to analyze and have a really good eye for talent, right? As a recruiter, to actually look at a resume and say, this person literally has like all this experience doing XYZ, right? So it could be experience, it could be very specific technical knowledge on something, or it could be a certain certification or qualification that maybe they went to school to get, like welding or something with plumbing or HVAC or flooring or whatever it is. Maybe they have a certain certification that they got from a school, like a junior college or something like that, where they went through a program, right? Look out for that that kind of stuff, look out for those things that stand out and make them a really good candidate. Again, because you don't want to be submitting candidates that don't meet the 80% threshold, meaning they're 80% likely to get hired. You're only waiting on that last 20% that comes from the hiring manager themselves once you submit them for interview. So that's number 2. All right, so moving straight forward to number 3, you want to keep this short list going, right? So let's say that we have the same exact example I gave in number 2. We're shortlisting and we have 20 applicants and 2 roles to fill. We're whittling that down. Let's say we whittled it down to 15, whittled it down to like 13. Okay, 13 applicants, right? You want to always qualify resumes that have preferred skills and that meet the minimum requirements. Remember number 1, minimum requirements, right? But the preferred skills. So little backtrack here, but remember, your client will always give you a job description. And when you give them the conversation that you're going to give them after they sign your agreement, you're going to ask some questions, right? And I talk about this in a few other videos, but I call this interview logistics. When you have that conversation after the agreement is signed, you ask a few questions like, hey, who's the last person you fired and why did you fire them, right? Or who's the last person you hired and why did you hire them, right? So you get the preferences, you get the real personality traits, you get the real on the skills and the specifics and the experience and the everything, all the preferential, right? You want the preferences. You want those up front. So you want to shortlist all the way down to preferred candidates that also meet the minimum requirements. If you have those two in a mix together, you have the best of the best candidates. Let's say at this point, your list is now down to 10 candidates that are qualified, and you took that from 20. So you basically cut your list in half because you disqualified 50% of the applicants because they didn't meet minimum requirements, they didn't have maybe the certification they needed, or they didn't have any of the preferential needs of the client, right? So that's number 3 right there. And let's go straight into number 4 so you can master analyzing resumes. All right, so number 4 is actually quite easy. When you go through a resume, obviously at this point, you've qualified like 10 of these 20 applicants, but these 10 are still of question, right? They're not all going to get hired. And we know that because they have 2 slots open. Now, sometimes you get lucky and maybe they're like, wow, we really like number 3 and number 4. We're going to hire 2 more people and you're just going to make an extra $20,000. That's awesome, right? Sometimes that happens. Actually, quite frequently it happens. But this being the case, you want to look at those 10 resumes, right? Before you start submitting, you want to look out for any red flags or questionable items on the resume. Like, were there a lot of job hopping, right? Was somebody like working somewhere for a year? They went to another place for a year, then another place for a year. Are they like a year-long job person? Is that what they do? Like if they're a job hopper, it's questionable, right? But if they meet everything and they're really, really perfect, right? They meet that 80% threshold, you probably still want to push them in, but you just want to identify that criteria and maybe have another conversation with them, just a brief 5-minute conversation to ask and clarify those questions, right? Another one would be like something, I don't know, maybe, do you really like have that expertise, or is that something you just did a little bit at that role? Or was it like your main thing that you did the whole time? Honestly, all of these questions should come out in the interview, and in Recruiter Empire Mentorship, we give you the full scale interview on exactly how you should ask questions, what the answers should be, and exactly what the layout and the framework would be. But bottom line here is you want to go through and possibly backtrack because there could be red flags that you're going to uncover, right? And make sure that you're whittling down that list even more so it goes from 20 to 10 down to probably about 5. So you've got 5 solid candidates and you know 2 of them are definitely getting hired, and you might get lucky. Again, they might hire another one or even another one, right? So check for any red flags, ask those questions, get clarification on anything that you see that might be like an extra question or something of, concern before you submit that candidate. That's number 4. So listen, if you've done your due diligence, if you've conducted the interview properly, if you've analyzed the resume using these 4 steps, watch the video again. If you need all 4, write them down, do whatever you need to do to get them into your brain when you analyze resumes. You'll be able to run these 4 steps in literally your sleep because they're so simple. So if you can master this, absolutely master it, what you're doing when you are candidate hunting, when you are recruiting, when you are headhunting, when you're sourcing, right? You're looking at literally hundreds or even thousands of resumes over time. And when you're doing this, this skill becomes like second nature. Like you know it like the back of your hand. You don't even have to think twice. So utilizing this ability, this way of analyzing, this framework of checking out these resumes is going to help save you so much time. And it's going to make you so much more money because you're going to be able to send in these qualified candidates ASAP that are going to get hired, and then you're going to get paid. Then you're going to go do it again, rinse and repeat 100,000 times and do it over and over and over again. And you're going to make your first 6 figures, multi 6 figures, and ultimately 7 figures. Guys, listen, this is how you analyze resumes. I truly hope this video was valuable for you. If it was, please smash that like button on this video and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Most importantly, join Recruiter Empire, our Facebook group. Link in description at the bottom of this video. There are 14,000 plus recruiters in the group. We definitely want to have you in there. So definitely pop into the group. Link in description again, and I'll see you guys next time.